Jeani, thank you for joining us. And
Thank you for inviting me, Leslie.
We've actually been really excited to host you for a while. And I think with the announcement of the renovations that you've done recently and everything we've seen on social media, kicking off to hear your story and the new developments is absolutely appropriate. So share a bit about your background with us. Who is Jeani Meyer?
Leslie, how far do you want me to go back? Leslie, I'm a Bloem girl. I was born and bred right here in Bloemfontein and went to school at Centraal, just behind you, proud trolley. And I studied graphic design and marketing. And my first job was as a junior graphic designer at a small company called Exposure. And my very first paycheck was 2,000 Rand, way back then. Couldn't buy anything. I thought it was awesome. And then I joined our family business about 15 years ago, which was known back then as OFS Panel Beaters. And that's where I've been ever since.
So from working as a designer, why did you decide to join the family business? Because often people that grow up, I grew up in an entrepreneurial home and I was just like, no. I've seen what it does to my parents and I was just like, I want nothing to do with that. Why did you decide to join the family business?
Leslie, you know what? When I was working as a designer, it was very funky. I loved it. I loved when someone asked me, what do you do? And I could say, I'm a designer. But it was actually, it seemed nicer than what it was because the weird thing was when someone asked me at school, what do you want to be? I would say stuff like, I wanted to be financially independent. And who says stuff like that? And I think it was because my background, also growing up in an entrepreneurial home, is that I wanted to do my own thing. And at that stage, being a designer, I fell in love. There was a boy. And I wanted to move out of my parents' house. I wanted to pay my own bills. I wanted to do my own thing, which is also kind of ironic because I wanted to do my own thing and then I go to the family business, right? So, anywho, and but no, what happened was I realized that I was a designer and I loved it, but it felt that I could do more. And I like the idea of what you put in, you get out. And when you work for yourself, of course, when I started at OFS, it was right at the bottom, in the trenches. But I still felt that all the time that I'm putting in was going to be ultimately for the bigger picture, which if I'm lucky and if I do it well, I could be part of. Because that's another thing, is that I didn't start at OFS as a director. It doesn't work like that. I had to work my way up and show that you are worthy of adding value and actually becoming part of the top structure.
And perhaps share with us, I think, we do try to incorporate friends and family into our businesses, and as you said, you started at the bottom. So the journey of learning business through your family, how would you advise, or what was your experience of that? Because often people they expect to come up at the top, or the learning experience is difficult because you're learning from a brother or your mom or...
Absolutely. There's this speaker that I absolutely love called Simon Sinek. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He did this famous TED Talk, and it's one of the most, I think it's got like 33 million views. And he's got this video out where he's speaking about the millennials and about employing millennials or being a millennial. And I'm not bashing millennials by any means, but he says this one part where I want to get back to what you said, is he says, everybody wants to be at the top of the mountain, but nobody actually wants to climb the mountain. And the thing about that is, guys, is that nobody starts at the top. Nobody. Apple was started in a garage by two guys who couldn't afford to move out of their parents' basement. That's where it started. My dad started his business by driving a truck. He's an auditor by profession, but he started his first thing and he literally drove a truck, so humbly beginnings. But the thing about working with family, I feel, is that it doesn't work if you don't add value. You cannot walk into a family business with a sense of entitlement. And a misconception that there was about OFS for me and my brother is that people thought we went to work for my dad and it was easy and we got everything handed to us, and but it wasn't. When I started at OFS, we were seriously in debt, and my dad was part of it maybe for a year or two, and then he wasn't there anymore actually. And it was me and my brother, and I was 23 and he was 25, and we were super, super young, and we had to take a lot of responsibility. And I think the thing about that was just, you know, starting at the very, very basics and learning what the business was about from a very ground level, a very basic level, so that you could understand each and every aspect of it, but also not being afraid of making mistakes as you go. Because if you're that young, I think sometimes the way we've built OFS for me and my brother is a combination of being naive when we were very young and also arrogant because we just believed we could do it. So, but it's a lot of hard work, Leslie, and it's a lot of hours, and it's a lot of getting your hands dirty, you know, and not thinking, oh, I'm part of the family, I'm not going to answer that phone. No, answer the phone, you know, be part of the whole ecosystem of it.
So, having learned how to run this business, branding and social media is very present with OFS Smart Repair. Was that part of your strategy in building the business, or was that something that you identified as the next step to growing the business?
You know what, Leslie, when I told my boss at Exposure Advertising that I was not going to be a designer anymore, it was one of the saddest things for me ever, because I loved being creative and I loved designing, and I thought I was never going to get to be creative again, because now I was going into this motor trade and man trade, and what was I going to do there? And I started in the admin department and in reception. But you know, the weird thing is, I think that if there's something that you're good at, or if you're wired to do something, you end up doing it. It's very strange. I didn't go in at 23 and said, I'm going to build this brand and this is how I'm going to do it. I went in and I saw things that I thought, no, we could do this better, or let's tweak this, or let the girl should dress a bit better. If I'm the face of the business, I can't look like a panel beater, because that's what people are expecting when they walk in. So I have to go above and beyond their expectation. What does the reception look like? Things that came naturally to me because I understood brand. I could always speak brand, and I would start implementing it piece by piece until blocks became a major thing. But this is way back when. This is when we used to, just to also put it in perspective for you guys, I don't really want to say this out loud, but when I did marketing, social media did not exist at all. And I remember when Facebook came out, it was this space where you would load up your video, the photos from your digital camera, and it would take hours to load it up, and you would put horrible stuff on social media, just bad. And Tiffany is my sister-in-law, she's a witness. We would partying and really bad, and because she didn't really understood where it was going, right? And blogs became a major thing, and because like I said, my background was marketing and branding or whatever, it was something that I gravitated towards. And I remember watching a documentary about bloggers when it hit me, listen, this is massive. And the first blogger that I realized, this girl is making a business out of this digital world, is a blogger called Chiara Ferragni, and her blog's called The Blonde Salad. brilliant Italian girl, studied law. Looks like everybody studies law, it seems. And she started blogging about fashion, and it just exploded. And she started creating products from it, getting endorsement deals from it. And I think that's where I realized, whoa, okay, something's going on here. And then I remember with Facebook, when I had my little one, and I think, I don't know how many of you are moms in the audience, but you will be able to identify with sitting next to their bed and they just don't want to go to sleep. And then you scroll through social media, and this is now, I mean, my two ones are 8 and 5, so that's 6, it's a long time ago. But I remember seeing a guy called Tony Peng on social media. And I think things just clicked, and I realized, listen, this is where the audience is going, and this is where they're going to be. But I didn't want to go onto social media as a brand and not have my brand right. And that's why we did a rebrand first, because we were OFS Panel Beaters and we dropped the descriptive about 3 years ago and we became OFS Smart Repair, and that was also a long process. Because the thing was, I knew that if I wanted to go onto social media, I was going to compete with a massive amount of information and a massive amount of, if you think about your social media feed, you're looking at products, you're looking at, and it's everything. It's from a small business to a major business like an Apple or a Coca-Cola or a big fashion house, a Gucci or a whatever. And I knew that our content would have to compete with that, and it had to be interesting. And I think the weirdest thing happened, and before, without even realizing it, I've been a brand manager of OFS for the last 15 years. I didn't just quite know it. And then it just started falling into place. And when we went digital, I think that's when I really started amping it up. And it was a perfect fit because it was my background. I understood it. Yeah.
And with that, there's a lot of, with the blog, there's a lot of collaboration that you do.
Yes,
and a lot of shout outs, support local. Share the importance of that, OFS being an established, I know that's where I go to get my car fixed. It's just like a household name.
That's where you should go, Leslie. But that's where you all should go, please.
You've already got that traction and credibility in Bloemfontein.
Yeah.
Why did you find it important to collaborate with other businesses from other industries?
Leslie, you know what it is? I think that, first of all, we do business in Bloemfontein. And how can I expect people to spend their money with me if I don't spend my money with them? And that's a basic principle for me. And I've always been very adamant about supporting local. But what happened with the blog as well is I started the blog because I wanted to create a space where people could go if they wanted to get that in-depth about OFS. Because there's a long story to it. I always thought that if people just met us and if they could see who we are and what we're about, and yes, we know about fashion, and we also like sports, and we read and we have interests, they would stop thinking about us as panel beaters. And the blog was the space where I wanted to showcase that. But I realized also there's not just this misconception about panel beaters, there's this total misconception about Bloemfontein. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I get irked. I get quite defensive when my Joburg buddies and when they want to talk smack about Bloemfontein. And I thought, okay, but we're going to showcase ourselves, but that's a bit hectic, just writing about ourselves all the time. Why don't we include people that inspire us locally? The first thing that I started was Bright Sparks. And I started featuring local people in Bloemfontein that I got to know through various, either fixing their car or meeting them through a network or whatever it might be. And I thought, wow, there's people, they're interesting. Let's find out a bit more about them. And that's where it started. And then later on we included cool spots, which I felt I wanted to showcase local businesses and restaurants and nice stuff, nice places that we also associate with. And I think what that collaboration has done is it gives all of us a bit more, I think, weight in a sense, saying, you know, they say people don't do business with your business because they want what you have. They say people do business with your business because they believe what you believe. And I think that's almost what you do. It's people start associating things like, oh, I endorse Stereo Cafe, but it's not just endorsing. I actually go to Stereo Cafe every single morning and get my coffee, and I love his coffee. And then people would think, okay, but you like coffee and I like coffee, and now we've got something in common. And that's sort of what we do as a community for each other when we support each other and give each other exposure. And also, it's not just about us. I think there's amazing talent in Bloemfontein. You just need to show people. Yeah. It's long explanations that I'm giving you, Leslie. Sorry.
Well, we need the information.
I'm rambling.
So you've got fantastic customer service. You know, the experience of walking into OFS is remarkable, from the look and feel to everybody that you speak to. And that talks about the culture that you've built within the organization. Can you share a bit of information on how you did that? Well, if you even changed the culture at all.
No, we did. We absolutely changed the culture. I think, Leslie, without sounding like a cat poster, there is no I in team. So the thing is that a very important, I spoke about Simon Sinek, Nana, but a very important thing about a business is that if you're working with a team, they have to understand why you do the things you do. Yes, it's the how, and it's what you do and how you do it, but they need to understand what's the motivation, what is it that we're selling, why are we delivering service the way that we do, and that's the company culture. And I think for me, it's interesting because when I started there, for me, because it was my family, I felt that I wanted a family vibe, and also we were very young. So I wanted that hip and happy and sassy, and I don't know about you, but for me, brands that I love have loads of personality, and I think that's what what differentiates them from other brands. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to load it with personality because I wanted you to get to know us. I wanted you to feel very welcome when you walk in, and that's the people. The people is the color and the personality of your business. It's not going to help if I'm going to do it and I'm sitting in my office and the rest aren't doing it as well, but I feel that you need to show them, and you need to bring that. If you want fun, you need to bring the fun. If you want them to be excited about coming to work, then, give them something to be excited. And I think we've worked very, very hard with the whole smart guy and smart girl and smart culture. And luckily for me, I've got a kick-ass team, and they've really bought into the whole concept of the brand, and they're living it. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I remember when Jeani Meyer first popped up on my radar in Bloemfontein,
Yeah.
I'd seen you at a TED Talk.
Oh,
Yeah. And
was it good?
it was good, really it was, because after that I reached out to you on Facebook
Yes,
and
you
asked
did.
if we could, grab a cup of coffee and chat about social media, because I thought, I know how to use social media, clearly not. So the importance of sharing, the fact that you actually agreed to that coffee with a complete stranger, why do you find that important? Why do you do that? That's why we started Startup Grind, is because as startups, you struggle so hard to secure a meeting with somebody that's made it, with somebody that you really want advice from. And from a Facebook message, yeah, sure, let's grab coffee, and there's mounds of information was
And
shared.
then there's this weirdo waiting for me. No, Leslie, I'm joking. She's very cool. Leslie, you know what? I have a lot of respect for someone who's brave enough to ask me to meet them. Because it tells me that you've got a little bit of, oomph and fire to go for it. And business is about not being scared, even though a lot of decisions you make are going to be very scary. And also, I find it a big compliment that somebody thinks I have something to say. And I feel that if you feel that I can add value and give you advice on something that I know, why not? I mean, why not? It's not going to having a chat with you and you're asking me about how social media works, and it's not going to do anything that's going to be to a detriment of my business. I think it's just going to establish you as being someone who, you know, is a good person and has a good heart and wants to share. And I think at the end of the day, that's a big thing for me as well. Why wouldn't I share it with you, Leslie? I mean, it took a long time for me, and maybe if someone just gave me a little tweaks, I could have gotten there faster as well. Absolutely. I mean, I'm being invited to talks and doing talks, but when I started, if someone told me that it was going to take more than a decade for people to understand what it is that I do, I don't know if I would have done it. So, I mean, sometimes, especially with young people, I think they sometimes just need a little nudge or just a little nugget somewhere. And if you can mean something for someone else, I think that's a good day for me.
And thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, Leslie.
So the perseverance, sticking it out for so long, you know, you launch a blog and going digital isn't consumed immediately. You know, you don't get the engagement that you want. We all speak about growing organically and how that's more valuable. So sticking it out, you know, did you trust what you were doing was going to come right? Were there moments where you're just like, okay, maybe camel this and change the strategy? Share a bit with us, you know, why you stuck it out.
I think I stuck it out because it intrigues me. For me, social media is like, it's like this PlayStation game or something that I have to figure out. I want to crack it. And I have fun when I know that I'm doing a good piece of marketing and it's being received well, because I feel that's my jam. That's what I do. That's what I do well as brand. And for me, it opened up a conversation directly with my customer and with my customer base, and I could get feedback from them. And with social media, sticking it out, it's changing all the time. So a lot of it is trial and error, Leslie. I mean, I knew I had a background in design. I knew how things had to look, and I could do copywriting, and I had the skills that I needed. I still studied. I did an extra course at UCT in social media marketing specifically to get the big guns and make sure that I know the more the techie side and the algorithms and all that difficult stuff about it that you need to know. But a lot of it has been try something and it maybe works and maybe it doesn't, or put out a blog post. Then I would write a post and I would think, yes, this is a kicker, wow. And then I would get no response at all. And then I would put something out ridiculous with, I don't know, let's say, well, style. Bloemfontein likes style a lot. Fashion is doing really well. So whenever I put anything with fashion, they love it. And so it was very informative seeing the people that want to associate with our brand, that not just bring their cars, but also that, you know, what they like and don't like. And I mean, in last year was the year of video. That was very weird. And for me, as I said, I didn't grow up with social media. We didn't grow up with selfies. I mean, I don't think any one of us knew what selfies were before Kim Kardashian. So last year, I did this. It was the weirdest thing. I knew that we were building and that was going to be really good content. And then I put on a video and it did well. And then I put on another one and I saw, no, I don't know, I'm not getting the traction. And then I literally did this, Leslie, and boom, it went. It was unbelievable. And now I have clients walking in saying to me, hi guys, Smart Girl Jeani. And then, because that's what I always, so it became recognizable. And the thing is, as you go, you learn and you become better at it. Your layouts become better. Your copywriting become better. It's really, it's like tennis or practicing or jogging or whatever, going to the fitter you get, the better you get. And that's what it's like with social media. So I think why I still like it is I know that we can still get better. Yeah. And that's exciting to me. Yeah.
Thank you. Have you got, before we open for questions to the audience, have you got some industry insight, whether it's personal values or about the industry or about social media, that you'd like to share with an aspiring entrepreneur?
I think that business is a combination of things. I think that you need to understand that it's going to take a lot of time. I don't believe that you cannot be in your business. I'm in my business. I think that's what makes it work. Surround you with the right people. And I think that what's very important for me is there's three things. It's make what you do, so that's the product that you deliver or the service that you deliver, make sure that that's excellent. So if you're a hairdresser, make sure that your cutting and coloring and styling your skill is excellent. But secondly, it's not just what you do, it's how you do it. And that's the detail. That's where brand comes in. That's where the extra add-ons, what you look like, what you sound like, what the experience is when the client comes in. The how you do it is super important. Phoning back, being professional, having excellent work ethic. And if you're working with a team, the why, they have to understand why you do what you do. So I think with aspiring entrepreneurs, guys, don't be scared, but know that it's going to be the hardest job that you will ever have in your life. And if you're not prepared to put in longer hours and more effort, then maybe it's not for you. It's not everybody's cup of tea, that's fine, but you need to understand that you have to be very committed and you have to have very, very, very good work ethic.
Well, there you have it. If you've got a concept and you're trying to start a business.
Hard work.
Yeah. So have we got any questions from the audience?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Leslie. Thank you for hosting this informative meeting. Jeani, I've been following your brand on social media. My name is Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
And I won the calendar. Yes, and I commented and always,
Are you still waiting for the calendar?
Yes,
I still have to post. Yeah, don't worry. It's awesome. I will get it to you.
No, it's fine. I just want to know from you, how do you balance everything? How do you become a successful businesswoman, a successful mother, a successful wife? If you maybe can just share with us how you do it and stay pretty at the same time.
Elizabeth, I cry a lot, but you don't see that on social media because it doesn't make for good photos. But no, Elizabeth, no, honestly, it takes a village. It takes a village. When I started, as I said, I was young, so I had time to really be committed at work. When I had my kids, man, that was difficult. Yo, girl, I have to tell you that I constantly have this struggle that I'm worried that I'm dropping a ball somewhere. And I get frustrated when, women get asked, how do you do it all? A man CEO never gets asked, how do you do it all, né? Okay? But for me, what works for me is, yes, I've got 2 kick-ass client service girls, which I trained. I was very strict with them, shame, but they are excellent if I have to go, because I have to balance it. When I'm at work, I'm really at work, but when I'm at home, I try to put down the phone and make sure that I'm at home. So I don't do it all. I struggle to get to everything. I try and do the best where I can, and I'm trying not to be that hard on myself. And then I've got a brilliant hairdresser, by the way, and My sister-in-law is my jogging partner, so she kicks my ass if I don't want to go and jog. So it's really, I think it's surrounding you with really good people, and being brave enough to not make you think that it's easy, because it isn't. And don't feel discouraged if you think I don't get to everything, because I don't get to everything either. And I also forget, oh crap, I had to put in that tie for my kid, or these things, they happen. But I think just, be kind to yourself, and whatever you do, try and do that super well, and try and balance it, that you make time for whatever. So if I know that something's very important at work, I make sure that I'm there. And if something important is going on with my kids, then I make time to be there as well. And I've got my brother there, who told me the other day, am I working half day these days? So he's giving me crap. But no, I've got a great team. Long answer.
Hi.
Hi.
I am CJ van Wyk, Clint Jaco van Wyk.
Hello, CJ van Wyk, Clint Jaco van Wyk.
I just recently resigned from my job as an accountant in order to follow my dream. But I realized that your dream isn't always unique. Someone else has done it before. You guys aren't the first panel beaters. So what I want to know is, how do I become a big deal or a successful panel beating company if there are already 45 of them in Bloemfontein? How do you make people see you? How do you stand out?
What is your dream? What are you gonna?
My dream.
What is your dream?
My dream is to write one amazing song that the rest of the world wants to sing. That's the biggest dream I have. Yes.
Okay. You know what? I honestly believe that if you are the best in the market, there will always be work for you. And the thing with me and Gijs, as I said, a combination of being naive and arrogant, is that we never, ever wanted to be like any other panel beater in the industry. Ever. I promise you, you're not going to believe me. I think I went to another panel beater in Bloemfontein. I was in the business already for 8 years or something. I never went because I didn't want to see what they were doing. I didn't care what they were doing. I didn't want to know how they run their operations. And it's not because I thought I know how to do it. It's not that. I just felt that I wanted to make sure that we were better every day than what we were yesterday, because that's progress. It doesn't come from looking at what the guy next to you is doing. And I think what it actually did as well is that it made us think completely outside of the box. So the weird thing was, yes, we are panel beaters, né? That's the service that we deliver, but we're a business. At the end of the day, it's a business, and I just wanted to run it like I would run a business. It's make sure that the service you deliver is excellent. The repairs that you do is brilliant, because that's the main thing. That's why people come to us. We have to repair their car, but we can't just repair their car. We have to be the best. We have to be the best. And if something goes wrong, we have to make sure we rectify it. We have to because things do go wrong. Né? Things don't always go according to plan, but that's our main thing. Our quality has to be excellent. And then you differentiate yourself by the other things that you do. For me, it was the way that we delivered the service. It was the way that we branded the company. It was the way that we presented ourselves. It was the way in which we handled the client and treated the client. I wanted my company to have the best client service in town. I didn't want to compete with other panel shops. I wanted to compete with a Klopper and with a Pick and Pay and because I wanted to have that level of service. When we did the brand digitally, I didn't want to do what the local guys were doing. I wanted my brand. I went for a .com URL because I wanted our blog to be an international standard. I wanted it to be that good. And I think with you, being a muso, you got to keep at it. You just got to keep at it and keep writing and keep singing and keep gigging and keep hustling, because that's what everybody, you know, when we look at the story of, it takes a long time, and one day you're going to have that brilliant spark and it's going to fall into place, but it's probably not going to happen in 2 days or 3 or 4. Just got to keep at it. But make sure that you're unique and don't be a copycat. Don't be the next Ed Sheeran or the next, no. Be you. And I think that's the thing with OFS. There's no other panel shop in the country that's like OFS, like us, because we built it uniquely to who we are. And we branded it that way, and we deliver service that way, and that's what differentiates you. You've already got it. You are different than anyone else. There's nobody like you. Just do this. Yeah, just do you. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I'm KK. I'm one of the people that haven't quit law yet. I'm still there.
A lot of lawyers in the house.
Yeah. No, but one thing I've been wrestling with for a couple of years is, you know, always having ideas, good ideas. But I want to know from you, do you think entrepreneurship is a thing, is a possibility for everybody? Do you think it's a thing anybody can do?
No, I don't.
And why?
There's a combination of things. No, listen, I don't think it's for everyone, honestly, because I don't think it's in everybody's temperament to be an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, the buck stops with you. It literally stops with you. If anything goes right, great, that's you. If anything goes wrong, that's you as well. That is a lot of responsibility, and it is a lot of stress, and we live in a very stressful time already. Some people are not cut out for that, but also I think that what happens with entrepreneurs is, let's say you've got someone that's super creative, and I'm gonna say, I think an easy example is a hairstylist. You're super creative, and now you become a business owner, and now you have to manage people, but you're a creative person and you're very shy and you don't really know how to manage people, and you're completely pushed out of your comfort zone in managing people. So I don't think it's for everyone. I also think that it's very scary to take, to take that money and try and take that R1 and turn it into R2. There's a lot of risks that you have to take, and but, I think that there's reward in risk, and if you've got the guts, then you should go for it, but you're going to have to have a lot of guts if you want to be an entrepreneur. So that's why I don't think it's for everyone.